Hey guys, Justin here. Quick note, make sure to pick up the free downloads of these sets yourself in the description. I made a couple tweaks to them just in the steering offset and brake bias, but you'll see what those are later on in the video. Alright, let's get right to the lap. Alright, let's take a look at that. So, this is going to be a first lap hot lap, and so here's the thing about the out lap. This is very, very particular because Phoenix is kind of dumb. So what we're going to do here is I want to stay right by the wall. So you see I even kind of turn right a little bit. I turn right a little bit and then turn back down the track. So first thing I want you guys to know is that I did change two settings on this setup. I changed the offset a bit down, or sorry, I increased it a bit to make it a little more comfortable for me. And I think I put it at plus 10, no, I think I put it plus 12, I believe. And then, and the brake bias, I lowered that to 52%. I just think that you need that brake for turn 3. So anyways, we're gonna run around the top here, and the goal is to both get on the throttle super early and leave the corner as low as possible. So you see I'm a full lane off the wall here. So if I were to just rip the wall for the entire way, like Ross Chastain style, but except not hitting the wall, you wouldn't be able to cut down the track early enough and you would lose a lot of time. So what I actually do is I wait for the car to want to turn down the hill slightly, and then I get full throttle. So in order to do that, I let off really early. You see how early I'm off the gas? I'm already off the gas at the 2 cones. So you see I'm entering really easy into the corner. And because I want to get in the throttle with rotation really early so that I can turn down the track. Not make a straight line of it, but I want to turn down the track and then go even lower. Okay, we've spent enough time on that. So we'll turn down the track here, and now the goal right now without losing your rear tires. So if you're getting loose in order to achieve this, it does nothing for you. So you have to have full engagement with your tires throughout the whole time here, and you want your car to be below the yellow line before you get to the start finish line. That is ideal, but you still want to carry speed. So I kind of hit it, so that's more or less good enough. And then we're going to aim straight at the pit wall, almost hitting it, inches from it. And then we come back up the track. I ideally want to be going back up the track around the blue line here, but a little bit later is fine. But that's another good marker for you. Because if you stay low for too long, you're not going to have a good entry into 1. Okay, so here's a big thing about entry into 1 on your hot lap is that you can't dump the throttle all at the same time, or else you're just going to really have a weird weight shift and the car won't do what you want it to do. So you see I back off the throttle really gradually, and that correlates with me turning the steering wheel. So you see I don't start turning the steering wheel until I start backing off the throttle smoothly, and then I aim for the yellow line here. So there's 2 ways to approach this corner. You can actually go first seam as well on the yellow. I think first seam might be a tiny bit faster if you execute it perfectly. I'm not 100% sure though. The bottom just feels more repeatable to me, so that's what I'm going to recommend to you guys. So I go for a slightly late arc all the way to the yellow, and at this whole point I'm just kind of pedaling the throttle between 0 and 50%. Just waiting to see when the car starts to get loose under throttle. And then the moment it starts getting loose under throttle, I gas up. So I think I was a little bit late here because it's still kind of sliding up the track. I ideally want to stay a little bit lower than this, but because the car was still responding with the loose condition under throttle, it wasn't the end of the world, and I was actually carrying a decent amount of speed off the corner. So that was pretty good. One more look at that without pausing. So, sorry. So smooth off the throttle all the way to the yellow line. Get there to the yellow line and then start pedaling the throttle between 0 and 50% and kind of see where the car starts rotating on its own. And then once the car starts rotating on its own, you can start opening up the wheel and you can just drive it off the corner. All right, now 3 and 4, very important corner because the entry of this is very particular. You want to be aiming right at this point right here, right at the end of the pit wall, because this car is a little bit tight on entry. That's just how the corner works. And what you want to do is you want to get on the brake a little early than you think you need to. So let's see what my point is here. So I start moving to the brake right before the 1 cone. And you see, I'm only just dragging the brake slightly. I don't want to slow down too much here because you don't need to slow down too much. You just want to drag the brake to help with rotation on the yellow line. That's the only reason you're braking, because this corner is wide. And so if you don't get on the throttle early, you're just losing momentum. So you see I'm just dragging the brake until I reach the yellow line. And then once the car starts sliding up, I'm like, okay, you're sliding up, fine. I'll just gas. Because guess what? This corner is super duper wide and the car makes it. Right? So if this was a normal shape track, that would be super bad, right? You can't just gas it while the car hasn't really made its rotation yet. But with Phoenix, it's so wide and this setup is neutral / loose enough to where you can gas up a lot quicker than you think, and that's where a lot of people lose time. And let's take a look at that one more time, no pausing. So early brake, aim for that pit wall, get right to the yellow, right on it, and then pick up the throttle and just drive it up to the wall because you can. It might look like you can't, but you can. All right. So that's a pretty decent lap. You might be able to go a tiny bit faster, but that's getting pretty close on this set. So let's go take a look at what we can do in the race set. All right, let's do a long run here. So I did 2 changes to the setup. I changed the offset down to 0 because I just felt it more comfortable personally down there. And then I lowered the brake bias a little more to like 52 again. I like that 52-ish number in the truck. It just seems like it can usually handle it. So the big deal about doing the long run here is making sure that we're not too late on entry in both corners. I also don't love cutting the apron here unless you're battling. I think that it kind of really messes a lot of things up and could even damage your car if you make the transition rough enough. But here, I just like rolling the bottom, being really smooth on and off the throttle. Being smooth off the throttle is very important in 1 and 2, helps set the car correctly. So here, you want to get an early entry and then make a straight exit. You can see that we're pretty far off the pace of our qualifying, but that's just the nature of the set.
175.
So here you see a smooth off the throttle helps our entry. I can let the car slide up a little bit. I don't really mind as long as it's not sliding up more than like a lane. And then in 3 and 4, I get off a little earlier than you think you need to, brake all the way down to the yellow, wait an extra beat, and then get on the throttle and drive it straight back up the track. It's a little bit unintuitive of the corner, but if you can get the timing down, then it's very consistent and you just have to work on not overdriving entry. I really like being on the yellow here at the beginning of the run. Some people are going to want to go to the middle straight away in 1 and 2. I think that if you just chill on the bottom, there's not much they can do. And again, just under-driving entry of 3 and 4 is very important. The moment you start overdriving entry of 3, the moment everything starts going away on you. I'll show you what the middle line kind of looks like here. So we just keep our lefts on the seam, we get the car to rotate, and then we get just a lot more throttle off the corner. And you see that it kind of evens out. I probably could have had a bit more aggressive of an entry to bring it into green, but again, why do that when you can just chill on the bottom? So this is kind of the lines that you want to deal with throughout the run. I did a run here and the tire wear was pretty even, so that was good. And really, my approach was exactly the same for all the corners. I did try the middle every once in a while, but the thing is that that might come into play later, but just let the tires tell you that they're ready to leave the bottom. If it just stops sticking even if you feel like you're going the earliest of anyone around you, that might be a sign to start going to the middle. But I think that at least for the beginning of the run, I don't think that there's enough difference between the lanes to avoid the bottom in 1 and 2 here, because it's just, it helps the tires, you just roll, and it's just, you're driving it super neutral. 3 and 4, you're just kind of aggressive all the way around it, and it just is wearing more tire, putting more heat in it. And then 3 and 4, you're never going to want to leave this bottom. You could be on 1% tires and you'd still want to leave this bottom.
27.59.
So you see, if you need a little burst, you can get like a free 10th by doing that. I just don't think it's super viable to do for the entire run. I think it just starts messing things up for you. But if you want to, I won't stop you. I won races at Phoenix never cutting the apron except for battling, so it's all personal preference, I guess. Because it's just a lot more tire just to keep the wheel in it for this long and then go all the way down here. Like, yeah, that's a lot of time compared to staying on the track, but I don't know. I don't know how it all evens out. It just feels to me that if you're going for a long run, you might as well drive the most conservative as possible as long as you aren't losing positions. That's just my opinion. But otherwise, yep, same lines. You see how I missed the bottom a little bit and I paid for it dearly.
27.678.
And later in the run, it's just going to get tighter and tighter. Or not tighter and tighter, but you're going to have to let off earlier and earlier. But you can maintain a pretty neutral balance on this set, which is good. And this is a set that I did win a race last year on during this week 13 C-Fixed Open. I think it was like 4K SOF, so that was good. So this is a very capable set. And then once again, if you want to go download that, click the link in the description. But I think that these is just about the notes that we were looking for this race run here. Lines are going to be pretty consistent. Make sure to back up your corners the older the tires get. Be smoother on the throttle. And really, that's all you're going to be looking for. Alright, thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.